some concerns of Ghanaians there, of course, sharing their feedback to government on the need to deal with the cost of living. But this afternoon, there's a need for us also to look at the concerns of the average Ghanaian from various walks of life. Is the reason for which we have Julius Kwame Anthony joining us in studio. Philip Kwame Saba is also here with us. In the course of the discussion, we'll have more Ghanaians joining the conversation. But gentlemen, it's such a pleasure to have you all in studio.
Thank you.
And those were ladies doing their, the usual, what we expect them to do to always look good. But as, members of the youth and also as the average Ghanaian, the question is, how is the cost of living affecting you? Let me start off with you, Julius, because you also have some concerns. You were part of the protest last week, I believe. Looking at the feedback, first of all, from the protest and juxtaposing that to your personal experiences, what would you say is that key factor that the government needs to deal with now?
Yeah, so first of all, the government needs to deal with the reality that Ghanaians are suffering and accept it, because the attitude which they put up and pretend as if the realities are not there is so unfair. They must accept that.
Right.
If you deal with the ordinary Ghanaian today, inflation rising to the tune of 50% at some point, fuel up high. Yeah. To transport yourself, if you're working, is a challenge for you. You get that?
Yeah.
Feeding at home, utility prices have increased under this government more than they have ever done before. And we want to pretend as if all these things don't exist. And when citizens raise these concerns, they are being delusional or something. Those are the issues that we are talking about. And we are talking about these issues at a time where, look at BOG. They are contributors to the inflation problem we are having. Because if you are lending money to the government, beyond the regulated percentages, you are going to contribute to inflation. And these things are self-inflicted by the government. And so if we recognize that you are the one causing the problem, and we are asking you to correct the problem, you don't attempt to make us look like we are delusional people. That is the challenge we have with this current government. And you see, young people in this country are so frustrated. If you look at nursing students, they are all leaving the country. Just before I entered this studio, there was a conversation ensuing that if you go to America right now, 1 out of 10 doctors you meet in New York are Ghanaians. It's contributing to a brain drain of the country. As I'm here, I feel threatened because I have conversations with people who are lawyers. I'm studying law because I believe that the profession is profitable or something like that. I have conversations with them and they tell me that, Julius, give up that mentality because you'll be disappointed. It doesn't work the way you are thinking. You are not going to finish and be well-to-do. Forget about it. And at a point, I consider, as we speak, sometimes I feel like, should I abandon it because, I had two options, trying to leave the country or pursue that. Then I decide, okay, let me do that. And I am doing that with the hope that when I am done, it will not be a problem for somebody because I'm literally running the course on the benevolence of people.
Right.
So now I finish and I'm going to be back in that same situation I was avoiding. So you feel like, should you stop this whole thing and leave the country? So those who are leaving the country are justified to leave. Those who are complaining that things are not working here are justified to complain. So
when you were joining last week's protest, what expectations did you go in with? And would you say that looking at the kind of feedback and responses that we're getting, your concerns will be addressed anytime soon? Are you getting that indication?
Well, the expectations I went into that demonstration with is that we're going to meet a government which is decent enough, at least, to know that these are citizens of the country who must be treated with some respect. Respect was not served. You saw the conduct of the police on day one, arresting people contrary to law and putting them in the cells. You saw them barricading the roads, saying that we cannot go near the Jubilee House to present petitions if we want to. If you respect the citizens of this country, the youth who came out of their numbers, and you see, it is not the usual thing where you say that it is an NDC demonstration or this party's demonstration, and so don't mind the people. You see young people from different backgrounds gather over there. You don't even have the decency to want to meet them and listen to what they have to say. So I was expecting that they would have had that decency at least. They did not have it, and their attitude after does not even show that they were listening to the things we were saying. Did you see the communique issued by Salam, the youth organizer of the New Patriotic Party? A very insulting communique, telling us in point 3 that he listened to the things we were saying in all the 3 days, and he had nothing reasonable. They are the usual quote rhetorics.
But then,
I mean, how
to
can you
provide the
say that
context,
they are the
he goes
usual?
ahead to point out that, well, they inherited an already, an already...
In 2016?
he uses a certain term to describe
to suggest that the economy was ailing.
Yes, precisely.
In 2016, President Akufo-Addo was asked if he knew how he was going to implement free SHS and all those things. He said emphatically on BBC that he knew how he was going to do it. That suggests that this is a man who knew the state of the country. In that same period, President Akufo-Addo told us that within 18 months of his administration, the face of Ghana was going to change. If you said these things, knowing the conditions you were inheriting, why would you, 6 years after, come and be making those comparisons? Nobody cares 6 years into your administration about what President Mahama did or President Mahama didn't do. We care about what you have done because it was you who told us you knew what to do. So we care about what you have done. So you tell us what you have done. You tell us how you have made any difference in our life that we are still having these same conditions we are talking about. So the statement he was issuing, making comparisons with President Mahama and all those things, smacks of someone who simply does not understand the job of a party in government. Your job is to face the problem. Your job is not to blame other people. So the blame game must end. And you see, those of us who are close to power and are beneficiaries of power must begin to realize that when we are beneficiaries of power and other people who are not beneficiaries of it are complaining, our own safety is in danger. Because you cannot be safe in a society where we have very well-to-do people close to so many people who are struggling. You cannot be expecting the people to keep quiet. So you are setting yourself up for a society which is going to be very chaotic, and you'll be the victims of it. These are the things we need to be speaking against. If you are in government, be compassionate. Relate with the woes of other people, even if you are not a part of it. And speak with some form of compassion and respect for them. If you tell them that the whole 3 days, it is the usual rhetorics, roads are bad, hospitals are bad, are roads not indeed bad? Are people not getting accidents on the motorway? Is dialysis and Kolebu, hasn't the price increased by more than 120%? In just one communique, they increased it and altered the lives of people. At this age, I shouldn't be buying medicine for my mother when I am paying NHI levy anytime I buy something. I shouldn't be doing that at this age. But that is what a lot of us are doing. And then you are telling us that they are the usual rhetorics. When I was growing up, I didn't think it was a usual rhetoric that after first degree, I should be dealing with the situations I'm dealing with in this country. I didn't think that it was a usual rhetoric. I expected I will have a system. That is why we have governments. Governments are supposed to create welfare regimes for their people. You don't create a problem and turn around to insult us. So please, with all due respect to him, that is a condemnable statement. If he has any decency and has the respect for the youth of this country, because he's a youth organizer of a political party, if you have any respect for the youth that you'll be going around this country campaigning to that they should vote for his party, he should withdraw that comment and apologize to them for making that comment that they had no issues. You should withdraw it.
Right. But Philip, the point is, let's also be fair to the NPP. The challenges are enormous. So it will take time to deal with almost everything that, the concerns that everyone is raising. Don't you think so?
I share all the sentiments Julius shares.
Right.
And you see, we can't be fair to a government that has promised us and categorically mentioned that they know the troubles we have, they know the problems we have, and they are coming to fix. The promises of Nana Akufo-Addo and then Bawumia during 2014, 2015, 2016 election was that they knew the situations that we have at hand and they are coming to solve the problems. Right. But what do we see now? Fuel prices are going up. We have bad roads, as my brother said. Lecturers at the colleges of education are going on strike, right, and a whole lot of bad things that are going on. And I think recently, I think today or yesterday, Ghana has been ranked as the 9th most riskiest country to invest in.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I'm yet to see that report.
You would get that report. You see,
I see.
When you are even encouraging the youth to venture into entrepreneurship, this is a country that is very risky for you to invest in. You do some little of investment and then there is tax all over. You see the taxes that are put on sanitary pads and a whole lot of things. Even the struggle that the youths are doing, involving themselves in sport betting and all that. There's a tax on it now. You bet and then the money you get, Nanado takes part of it, and it's very bad.
But and you don't say the government. I'm gracious enough to. It's not as though, but by saying that he takes 10%, it's as though the president is directly taking that.
The sad side of all this is that you don't see the tax doing anything for you. You don't see it. You don't just see it. You are paying money and you don't see the result of it. There are other countries European countries that. Colleagues complain that they take tax and all that, but you see the system working. You see something your tax being used for, and at least gives you some hope that there is something. But this is, when all these things are going, the posture of government, the posture of Nanado and Bawumia with their cabinet and everyone, posture of government is still the same, being arrogant, being insensitive to Ghanaians, and doing what just they please.
But personally, how do you connect, what's happening to the economy to your personal lifestyle? I mean, and also how it's affecting you. Do you share, a similar concern that Anthony shares?
It's the same. The only person in Ghana who is not suffering from all this was probably Nana Akufo-Addo and Bawumia and their government.
How do you know that for a fact? The president says he's admitted that times are really tough.
But you don't see it. He's not going through our situation. You see Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia flying around, moving around, sharing money, giving money to people. And this is someone who, and probably those who are probably disappointed, I wouldn't want to sound too much political, but disappointed MPP supporters who probably don't have any option because of what they have been fed with, and probably because of where they are coming from, their region or ethnicity, that they feel that MPP is the only solution that they have. These are the people who are not even comfortable, but pretending to be, because they can't go any other place, and that's what they are fed to do. And there is no Ghanaian who is there currently who is not feeling the heat. Bro, you are also feeling the heat.
Are you asking me or you're telling me?
I'm telling you, you are feeling it.
That's an interesting one. Anthony, I'll come back to you. Sure. But let's also bring some of our other colleagues who are joining us via Zoom as well. Daniel Nuku-Kove is an agri-businessman. He, of course, has been in that sector for quite some time now. And Ni Omanye Boni Lante is a student as well. He is at the Ghana School of Law, as well as Richard Kwesi Enin, who is a social communicator as well. Tajuddin Mohammed is also joining the conversation. And it's really great to have all of you joining us. Danny, let me give you the opportunity to tell us, since you, of course, do some business, some trading in recent times, how has patronage been, and how do you personally connect to some of these stories being shared in studio?
Good afternoon, Blessed. I want to say good afternoon to all your viewers, and then my good brother Julius and the other panelists. Indeed, the economic hardship is real, and no discerning Ghanaian at this point in time can, deny the fact that there's no economic hardship. In fact, if you gauge the atmosphere very well, you realize that there's so much anger and hunger in the system. I come from an agriculture community. Predominantly, we do Gary, where I can tell you somewhere 2022 June, one olonka of Gary was going for 9 cedis. Today, as I speak, it is selling for about 23 cedis. And ask me why. The agric inputs have gone up. The fuel prices have gone up, and all these things are factors that determine the prices of goods and services in the market.
Right.
And I asked myself, what has happened to the food and job, planting for food and jobs our leaders have promised us? When you look at the National Entrepreneurship and Innovative Program, our government has put in place what has happened, what are the young people doing? And today you go to the market and people are not buying. A lot of people are even struggling to raise the money to buy, and even producers. So it looks like everybody is fed up. We keep importing, and nothing really is working in the country. And as if that is not enough, when we expect leaders to encourage us and to help us, putting up these businesses and ensuring that our businesses are successful, we hear some of these people in leadership positions making very reckless comments that even hurts the youth. So it looks like we are tired, and we are all just waiting to see what will happen. And listening to a few weeks in the news, looks like our president has given up, that a new leader will continue. So I don't want to even call on the president anymore to even intervene, but I can only encourage the youth that it looks like we have to put in a lot of energy, to push in for our own selves. Yeah.
Right. Ni Omanye Boni is also joining us. And of course, Ni, just as your case, of course, we have Anthony here, who's also, I believe, pursuing law as well. You're all doing the same thing. We heard from some of your other colleagues who are equally complaining about this notion about the profession, law itself being an escape from the economic challenges that are confronting the nation. But it appears that all of you are having some sort of a second look at that perception, isn't it?
Well, in the first place, before you even get called to the bar, you have pecuniary obligations to the school, huge sums of money to pay as school fees and other costs that come along with being a law student. So, in an economy like this, naturally, every law student, and for the records,
Yeah.
every law student as a condition precedent is supposed to show evidence of unemployment or study leave. So if you are not working and you are in the Ghana School of Law for 2 years and you have to pay hefty sums for school fees in an economy like this, then you can imagine the kind of stress some of us are going through.
I see. But how are you personally coping? We've heard so many accounts about, connecting it personally to yourself. And what would you want, the authorities to do about your concerns?
Well, we are all going through one stress or the other. And unfortunately, there isn't much you can do. You have to find a way to manage it. So, as I pointed out earlier, we are not supposed to be working whilst we are in school. So it's either you are relying heavily on your already made investments, or you are relying on a few family and friends to help you through your legal education. I do not think that the school is in a position to help students, because then if you create that platform, everybody would tell you that they are all facing one economic hardship or the other. So in that kind of situation, naturally, you have to find a way and the ways and means to sustain yourself through the 2 years.
I see. Richard Kwesia Enim is also with us. And Richard, were you part of the demonstration last week? If not, what do you make of this whole growing movement, the push for something crucial to happen, the need for drastic changes in policy to respond to the concerns that the youth are raising?
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. I want to greet my fellow panelists and all people that are watching us this afternoon. I was actually not at the demonstration last week. However, I fully support the demonstration. And we were, if I will be permitted to use the old slang, I was part of the keyboard warriors that were supporting the demonstration from behind.
So you are mostly on social media,
so the issues and concerns that have been tabled by the people who joined the demonstration, and if I was present, I would also have joined, is to the fact that the current economic system in the country is one that is very excruciating, and that living conditions have become more difficult today than it was in yesteryears. And so if we have come together to elect a democratic government to represent our interests, then we want to see the government putting in efforts at alleviating our challenges. And so when you have a government that is not doing this, then it is time that the people that have given them the power actually drum home their needs. We have these people occupying the seats of government. We elected them there. They are there on the accounts that Ghanaians, through our constitution, gave them the power to exercise the executive function of government on our behalf. And so when they are there, it is not necessarily what pleases them, but what pleases at large, to the large extent, the larger society called Ghana. And so when you have a government that is not doing this, then there is a cause for worry. And so I fully supported the demonstration, even though I was not on the grounds. And my brother, as we are speaking today, most of the speakers before me have alluded to certain facts. Today, when you look at utility bills, like I think the first, one of the people that were interviewed, I think from the markets, who was saying that the light bill has gone up so much, even though the utility regulatory authority has not sanctioned any increase. The fact, the other day I was on social media and someone posted that today you buy lights worth 100 Ghana cedis, and you are able to use it for only 1 day. When you are doing this, when you have to cough out 100 Ghana cedis every single day and you are into business, my brother, you will agree with me that it will be very difficult to sustain such a business.
Right.
And so today, as I've indicated, life has become more difficult today than it used to be.
Okay. We seem to be having some challenge there.
COVID-19 came up in somewhere 2019. The government came up with a levy as a tax. And
okay. We seem to have a challenge there with Richard Enim. We'll get to him shortly. Tajuddin Mohammed is also with us. He is project lead for social protection and sexual reproductive health at Send Ghana. And of course, it's just the same conversation, Tajuddin, that we've been looking at, policy measures to respond to some of the concerns that you've heard from mostly the youth share on this platform. Social targeting comes up at this moment. What should be the options for government?
My line got a bit unstable. The issue is that when the COVID-19 came up, government came up with the COVID-19 recovery levy, which is still in existence today.
Yeah, Mike, I get the point. This is to, if you can hear me, this is actually to Tajuddin, actually. I was just trying to find out from him in terms of, Send Ghana working extensively on some of these policy measures, what we should be looking at. Tajuddin? Okay, it appears we've lost him. Let me bring in Anthony. I was just, and of course, the question is targeting would have to come in now because it was mostly the youth that staged the protest last week. If you look at the age range, these are energetic young ones who are out there asking for policy directions and changes to fix the system. If we're to do targeting and, of course, go ahead with a policy that will address largely the concern of the youth, looking at the average concern that each and everyone is raising within that category. What should we be starting from?
People a lot now because I'm out of school and I have no ICT knowledge. Everybody I speak to tells me that if you don't have an ICT knowledge, I'm unable to get you on board. Those are the areas we should be targeting. The issues that we need to deal with is also our facilities. What we have now is a situation where we are paying nursing trainee allowance and then we produce the nurses and export them to other countries. It's not even export because the people live on their own without any benefit to the country as to the investments we made in that area. We must make sure that our investments have priority. Why did we dig a pit, at the heart of Accra for $58 million, which is of no utility to anybody? When nurses are leaving the country, the facilities are not there to employ them in the first place. Why are we doing that? So it's a bad investment. Why is BOG, after sinking our economy with their unregulated printing of money, able to build a new facility for themselves? Over $250 million. When Agenda 111 could have been completed with that money so that we are able to employ our young people who just finished medicine and all these nursing courses. Why are we not doing that instead? So the things that have bedeviled this country are not so far-fetched from this government that they are unable to solve. They create the mess themselves. If you print money without regulation, there will be inflation. If you invest in a cathedral which has no return to anybody with $58 million, you create unemployment because monies which could have gone into finishing hospital projects are gone and the youth have to leave the country. Yeah. And if you cause brain drain over here, it has different effects. We have a situation where graduate students, they don't have bursaries to do research. If you don't do research as a country, how do you implement policies?
But the starting point is
the starting point, we must know what is going on to be able to implement policies. Now you give scholarships to people, even the scholarship we give to people who go abroad. It is not tailored to them coming to do anything for Ghana. I had the occasion to speak to somebody who benefited from Government of Ghana scholarship. He told me that he was expecting that when he came back to Ghana, there was a plan to connect those of them who benefited from the scholarship to contribute something. Right. There was no plan, so he had to leave again. How do you run a system like this? So we need to reform all these things for Ghana to work for us. Other than that, it's a waste of time. And I want to say this very last thing so that you can go to the other people, is that the voices which are credible in this country who need to speak for people to listen. Please, we beg you. Christian Council, what are you doing? Young people were on the streets, and these are people who attend your churches. We go to your churches. You ask us to pay tithe so that God will bless us.
Yeah, but it's not tax, by the way.
Yeah. I'm making a point.
It's not tax, by the way. Just so you know.
We do all these things. We do all these things. And the works that are supposed to be available for us to work so that God will bless us. The work is not there. And you are not telling the government anything. We see you frolic with them 24/7. But you are unable to tell them that the things they are doing in this country are wrong. What is wrong? What is Christianity if we can't speak truth to power? What is Christianity if you can see people suffering in this country and you don't say anything about it? That is the problem I have.
But
so we should start from there as well.
70% of the population Christian. Do we need the pastors to always tell the politicians what?
But if you are frolicking with them, then you should be able to tell them the truth. We see them around them all the time, and these are not lies. We see videos of the bishops around them all the time. Tell them that the things they are doing to this country is wrong, and you yourselves are involved. You know people are suffering in this country. Jesus said that if your brother has needs and you are unable to provide, and you tell them, go here and be blessed, you are not a Christian. True Christianity is helping people. And we have this situation where you see nurses leaving the country because there are no facilities, but you are spending $58 million to build to dig a pit in Ghana, and men of God are involved. Why are we doing this to this country? So please, they should also start speaking the truth. And I'm saying this as a Christian who believes in God. I am not an antichrist. I'm saying this as a Christian, and I'm telling you that leaders of the church, you are failing us.
Okay. Philip?
So that's it. So,
I see that you're almost supporting everything.
No, but these are issues that everyone can associate themselves with. And even the pit that he's calling, the one around Ridge, where President
It's supposed to be a cathedral.
It's supposed to be a national cathedral.
Yes.
And the money,
it's not
the money that is committed to that is not even the 58 million he's talking about. It's about $110 that he's talking about. $110 million.
Oh,
yes.
really?
So it's not
but it's a project. It's just starting.
Yes.
But government says...
But do we need it? We need to set our priorities as a country. Right. Now, looking at where we should go from now, I think largely we should have our leaders, the political leaders, those who are leading us in the country, they must take responsibility and be bold. And you see, that's one key point of a leader, someone who can take responsibility. Right. Now you inflict all these hardships on the country, and you run away from it. You consistently have been running, dodging responsibility. That doesn't make you a leader. President Mahmoud Bawumia, the vice president, is calling for the North to be a president. Yet he's running away from all conversations about the economy. Something that he rode on to become a vice president. Right. He's running away from it. So he needs to take responsibility and be bold to his people. Be bold to your people.
All of this, are we mindful of the argument that the government has made constantly that the COVID has had significant effect?
Even before COVID, the IMF report said that even before COVID, there were certain things that were not even going on well. And you see, if you are bold enough and you are taking responsibility as a leader, when people do wrong things in your cabinet, you should be able to point to them. Several issues of corruption have happened under this government. We don't see them reacting to it in any positive way to instill that hope and confidence in the citizens that, yes, when you do that, so someone in the government who is probably doing good would see that, no, when my brother stole this money, for example, when they saw this money in Sisladape's room, they are doing nothing. So what am I doing? My family will tell me that you are also in the same government. Your people are stocking money. What are you doing? So that encourages you to go and steal. So the next scandal we will see about someone stocking money in their room will be even more than that $1 million.
So you feel we can find more if we search?
Of course, we will see that. You see, and there is a need for some constitutional and institutional reforms as a country. We need to have that larger conversation where we see that now some certain things, our institutions need to be independent as they must be. And you see, recently there are these talks about the political influences with the IGP and all that. There is a need for us to look at our constitutional and institutional reforms. Those are the basic things that we can do, and invest much in agriculture.
Right. Okay. For the sake of time, let me just give about a minute each to those on Zoom so we can wrap up. Nii, if you're there, let's take your final thoughts on this. Then I'll come to Daniel. Yes.
Hardship is real. I doubt if there's one person out there that will dispute that fact. And I would not sit here to say that it's as a result of the inaction or action of one government. I think it's a cumulative effect of successive governments. We all know that Ghana has been an import-driven economy. And that's the reason why we are here today. So that if Ukraine and Russia are having their own issues somewhere, why should it affect us? Because we have not been able to indigenize our economy to suit our situation, you see. And election year in, election year out, politicians will be quick to tell you that industrialization is the way out. Question is, what have they done in that regard? What has happened to a Commander Sugar Factory?
Right.
Have they continued with the project? What is happening with 1D, 1F? They should tell us something about it. If all of these things have been operational, I don't think we will be suffering the way we are suffering.
I see.
Thank you.
Daniel?
Blessed, thank you very much. I heard you talked about COVID-19 and the Russian-Ukraine war.
Yeah, it's part of the argument government has made, yeah.
I won't dispute that, but I'm beginning to believe that maybe some of the missiles from Russia land in Ghana before moving to Ukraine. My biggest problem is that a lot of Ghanaian young people are very hardworking and are doing everything possible, to make life meaningful to them. But whilst most of these people are doing this, government is not doing any effort to help. Why can't government give these young businesses tax holidays? Look at the numerous taxes government is trying to, impose. Always trying to, take the little the people are trying to survive on. That is the biggest problem. And that is the reason why you see a lot of, Ghanaians angry. And I just want to use this platform to encourage young people, to join the Bank of Ghana demonstration that is coming on, because trust me, we are going to the IMF to borrow about $3 billion, yet the amount of money recklessly spent by the Bank of Ghana amounts to about $6 billion. So where are we going as a nation? What are we doing? How are we surviving as a nation? That would be my call for young people. We must all join the demonstration and let the people know that, look, enough is enough and government must listen to us. Thank you.
Okay, then, Daniel, that was his point. Richard, for you?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think on the policy front too, one other thing that government need to take a very critical look at is the market valuation directive by the Bank of Ghana as a result of the debt exchange thing with regards to the IMF loan. I think that policy is one that has hurt a lot of Ghanaian businesses and even individuals. Whilst growing up, one of the things that we were taught in basic economics is that if you want your capital to be safe, the best place to put it is in the bank. Today, you put your money in the bank, apart from the fact that the money is losing its value, you are also even losing at least 20 to 25% of the money, the capital that you have put in the bank itself. This is a program that is hurting the ordinary Ghanaian. And so at this time, I want to side with the previous speakers on the issue of the government getting its priorities right. When we get our priorities right, some of these things will be solved. And I think that the ordinary Ghanaian will also be relieved of some of this hardship that has been occasioned as a result of inconsiderate government policies. Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks to Richard, Daniel, Nee, and also to you gentlemen in the studio, Philip, as well as and Julius Anthony. Of course, when we return, we'll talk about the scholarship scheme, which Anthony was just pointing out to. I had a sit-down conversation with the registrar, who's fighting off claims that there was nepotism in the system. He's also touching on a number of reforms taking place ahead of next window, which starts next year. We'll tell you all about that when we get back. Please stay.